Hello, everybody. Welcome back into Talk Off. It is Tuesday, December 27th. Hope everyone out there had a happy and safe holiday weekend. Hopefully it was a little better than mine, as I was refreshing Twitter about every 5 seconds to figure out if Carlos Correa was going to be a New York Met or not. Zach and Jake, I hope you guys had a nice, relaxing weekend. It's nice to be back in the studio.
Good to be back. I had a good weekend. I hope everybody out there did, and we're excited to get back into talking it off.
I currently feel like I don't know where I stand with Carlos Correa and the New York Mets. We were talking about this pre-show about how right now the main holdup in the deal is obviously the left leg injury that the Giants flagged. And now obviously Cohen has seemed to find a problem with it as well through their physical, which took place Thursday into Friday in New York City. Zach, do you think this is going to go through? I feel like I have an opinion on this, but I feel like whatever I say, it's just not going to come true. So,
well, I mean, for everybody out there has been listening, maybe they're getting the sense maybe you're a little biased. So I'll take over on this one. I do think the deal is still going to go through. I don't think that the injury is going to prevent the Mets from taking him on. I think Steve Cohen is better than that. I think the money for him is different. We've talked about it in past episodes. The money for him is so different. So I don't think that this is going to stop the Mets from signing Correa. It's definitely a concern, and it's a concern for the field. And I think with the prospects that the Mets have behind Correa to play third base, I don't think that the leg injury is going to prevent them from signing him, because they can always slot him in that DH spot and have someone like Brett Beatty step up and become their everyday third baseman if Correa's leg injury prevents that.
Right. We were talking about this, about how most likely what's occurring right now is the Mets are trying to negotiate adding different types of clauses into that deal to make it work out. The Red Sox did something very similar with JD Martinez a few years ago with a pre-existing injury. And with changing the language within the contracts, the commissioner does have to go in and approve these deals. So there is a pretty good chance that Manfred can hold this signing up for the Mets.
Yeah, well, Rob Manfred, he could stop this signing for the Mets, and it would be a problem. I don't really see that happening. I don't think there's a reason for him to stop it. The only reason would be he would want to err on the side of the PA. Yes, and I get that. And if he prevents this, he is kind of picking a side, I guess you could say, to where baseball is going to go in the future, because he's clearly not okay with the Steve Cohen era if this happens, because of the PA.
Right.
And the Players Association has so much power in the MLB. They scare the absolute shit out of Rob Manfred. So he will try to play to their favor, but I don't see anything too serious happening. I do think that this will get approved by Rob Manfred, the changing of the language. So in case the injury is worse than what he says, then the Mets are a little covered financially. That's what this is. Yeah. I still think it's a little bit more of a formality than anything else. So I think they'll be okay.
Yeah. Everyone just hold on to your sanity while we await a decision on the Carlos Correa contract. And obviously at this rate, it's all speculation. So maybe we'll get some breaking news during our recording today, but
we could. I expect something in the next couple of days.
Right. So Well, let's get into the real meat of the episode here. No pun intended with meat on producer duty. How awesome was NFL Saturday? Can we talk about that? That was sick.
Oh,
Red Zone on a
days.
Saturday morning?
Red Zone on a Saturday morning was phenomenal. I don't know about you, but my family does Christmas Eve big, so we had everyone over on Christmas Eve. But I just sat my ass in that chair. I had a lot of beverages, and I watched a ton of football on Saturday, and it was
good football.
It was
good
great football. Great football.
The 1 o'clock had a lot to offer. 1 o'clock games were awesome.
And the best part about it is it's starting to matter. Like it really is, because we have so many close races. There are so many there's so many teams still in the hunt. Like the Raiders, all year we've been talking about how bad the Raiders are. Like everyone's been talking about how bad the Raiders are. They got Devontae Adams. They were supposed to get so much better, and how bad they are. There's a path for them. There's a path for so many teams. The Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson, there's still a path for them. There's a path for so many teams to still get in. So it just makes the games that much more exciting.
It was so fun to watch the NFL this weekend because, like you were saying, this was such an impactful weekend for pretty much the playoff chances for all these teams. But also, it felt really nice to sit in a warm living room and watch everyone on TV freeze their ass off. I mean, Cleveland looked absolutely bricked this last weekend. But getting into these games... Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was the story of the weekend, was the weather.
Oh, it was freezing.
They were showing the 1 o'clock games. I think the warmest kickoff, I think, was 12 or 15 degrees. Besides the Giants Vikings in the dome.
It was bad. It was bad here in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm. It was terrible.
Giants Vikings was unreal. And I don't think that game would have been better outside. I think that was the perfect game to have inside. It was high scoring. It's 27-24 high scoring, would you say?
I guess I would say average.
It is average.
I guess for the 24 for the Giants is, a little high.
Boy, I really thought the Giants were going to pull one out there.
I did too, dude. I did too. That was a great game.
What is with the Giants and losing on career-long field goals from these kickers?
They love the Giants this year have been that team that's just sticking around. They just stick around for entire games, and then something will go their way and they'll win. Like they're not
unreal.
They're not out here beating teams, but they're not also getting killed every game. Like they're so close. It's just one break. If it goes their way, if it doesn't, that's how the game's going to end.
It was actually it was a great game. It was definitely the best game out of the 1 o'clock slot. You can make the argument that was the best game all day.
I think so. I think it might have been.
Saquon had a great day. That was fun to watch in fantasy. I needed that.
No, I mean,
way.
I don't even know what we're talking about. That Eagles-Cowboys game, that was the game of the day.
That was a great game. You're right. No, you're right.
A heartbreaker.
It was a heartbreaker for the Eagles. I mean, they win that game and they take the next 2 weeks off. They have first clinched. They have everything clinched. And I still think they're going to clinch, but it would have been nice to just have those 2 weeks and then the bye, 3 weeks off of football to prepare.
Is Gardner Minshew a serviceable quarterback in the NFL?
I think he's
he kind of slung the ball around the other day.
He's a serviceable backup quarterback.
I think the Jets could use him.
Really?
I mean, dude, what's the better alternative?
I think the Jets will trade for Jimmy, or they'll sign Jimmy G in this offseason.
Yeah, I'm saying in the short term. Like, how cool would it be if the Mets had a guy like Gardner Minshew?
You want them to do it
I'm saying
right
how
now?
cool would it be? I'm talking hypothetically here. How cool would it be if the Jets had a guy?
Mike White got cleared today. You're good.
I know. I'm just saying theoretically, like it would be cool if the Jets had Gardner Minshew.
I guess he's a guy you want on your team.
100%.
So there was a lot of not movement, but there was a lot of teams that were in that lost and teams that were trying to get in that won this week. I mean, we saw the Lions lost, so that makes their way to the playoffs a lot harder. It would have been great to see the Lions just win out the last 3 games and make it to the playoffs. But they lose, and the Packers beat the Dolphins on Sunday. That was the first game of the day yesterday, and it was great game. The Packers pulled it out. The Dolphins, Tua, those were 3 of the worst interceptions I have ever seen in my life. I don't know what the hell he was doing.
If Zach Wilson makes those throws, the media is coming for the guy's neck.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's also the difference between playing in New York and Miami.
I think it might be time to start the conversation where Tua isn't as good as everyone once thought he would be.
I would love to have that conversation forever because I have never been a fan of Tua. I never thought he was that good. I thought he was a good Alabama quarterback, same as Mac Jones, honestly. Good Alabama quarterbacks, but when have we seen an Alabama quarterback be good in the NFL? Very rarely.
And with an offense that is as talented as it is, a point differential of -5 on a 4-game losing streak right now, as a Dolphins fan, I don't know what to really say you should be doing. Like, what are the next moves here? You're thinking going into the season, you have a guy at quarterback, you have the best wide receiver duo. Where do you go from here?
I don't know. And especially the problem for the Dolphins, too, is they've seen so much up and down this year so far. I mean, the beginning of the year, they started off hot. Tua gets hurt. He's out for a couple games. But once he comes back, they hadn't lost a game with Tua until, I think, week 9 or week 10, maybe. So we saw what Tua was able to do at the beginning of the season. And now they're on this 6-game slide, and he's never looked worse. Yesterday was some of the worst. I'm not kidding. Those were 3 of the worst picks I have ever seen. He threw right to the defense. He threw it right to the defense every single time.
They were awful.
That was crazy.
And now you have to go up to New England next weekend, and you have to play the Patriots.
Exactly. They have to go to New England and play the Patriots.
Off of a team who showed life at the end of in the second half against a very good Bengals team who is absolutely rolling right now.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely showed life. Excuse me. That first half was hard to watch, like really hard to watch. But we showed life in the second half, and we shut them down. We just can't score is the problem. The Patriots, they can't score. They play for field goals. And it pains me when we're 4th and 1 and we're kicking a field goal. Or we're 4th and 1 and we're punting. Go for it. At some point, you have to just put your balls on the table and say, "Let's go." You have. And
I think maybe next week might be that week because you're at this rate, you're staring down a very slim chance to make the playoffs, and you have to take out a Miami team. You have to take them out next week.
We have to beat Miami. There is zero path for the Patriots if we don't beat Miami. If we lose to Miami, we're done. If we lose to Miami, we are done. Because the Jets play Seattle this week, I fully expect the Jets to win with a healthy Mike White. Seattle is struggling hard. They look terrible against Kansas City.
Oh my God, when Geno Smith came out of the game, they looked awful.
Yeah, exactly.
Awful.
They looked terrible against Kansas City. And I mean, Kansas City's a wagon, but so I fully expect the Jets to beat Seattle next week. We do have the tiebreaker against the Jets, but if we lose to Miami, week 18, we have to go play Buffalo. So it's not, what are we doing?
And next week's game with the Pats and the Dolphins is interesting because New England really, you guys are, I would say your defense is very good at stopping the run and can give up some pretty big offensive attacks as well through the air. And Miami's not a team who is typically known for running the ball down your throat. So it'll be interesting to see.
Especially with the weapons they have now, with Waddle and Tyreek, there's really no point to run the ball. They've never been a run first offense.
So it'll be interesting the way they attack the Pats D next week.
Yeah, well, our run defense is definitely our strength. Our front seven is a lot stronger than our back half. Our DBs are very young. Besides Devin McCourty, they're all very young. We have two rookies out there, and Jack Jones and Marcus Jones a lot. So, they're going to have some tough matchups this week with Waddle and Tyreek, and even Gesicki out of the tight end spot. I think he'll have a big game. The Patriots, I haven't seen them cover a tight end well or a number one receiver, honestly. So I expect Tyreek and Gesicki to have huge games against the Pats. I'm hoping the defense comes up. I'm sure Bill is going to have a game plan for the Dolphins and for Tyreek. I mean, he's been doing this for so long, and he's locked up so many receivers in the past with DBs with less talent than what we have out there now. So I think we'll have a plan for the Dolphins. I'm hoping for the best. And then if we beat them, we got a really tough matchup with Buffalo.
Can we talk about how the Panthers might have a shot at winning the NFC South?
It's going to be tough for them, but they have a shot.
It's not impossible.
It didn't help that Tampa Bay won last night, because now that puts Tampa a game ahead of the Panthers. If Tampa lost last night, we would really be having a conversation.
Right. But next week, 1 o'clock, Panthers-Bucks. For anyone who watched Tom Brady in the last 20 years of his career, you would say this would be an absolute game Tom Brady would win. Now I don't feel as confident saying
not
this
with the team he's playing with. Not with how they're playing. Did you watch that game last night? Are you kidding me? They could barely beat Trace McSorley in the Cardinals, and D-Hop had one catch.
And we're talking about a Panthers team who has nothing to lose right now.
Absolutely nothing. Even if they lose
Darnold
to the
looks
Bucks,
good. Darnold looks good.
This is already a successful season for the Panthers because they're playing better than anybody would have thought, because they traded McCaffrey. They had the whole situation with Baker. They had Matt Rule getting fired. So the Panthers have been through so much this season. I don't think anybody thought they were going to win more than 2 games. And now they're sitting at 6-9. If they go beat Tampa, then we're really having a conversation, because the Week 18 game that they both have is going to matter.
I mean, Detroit walked into Bank of America Field with the hopes of winning out and making the playoffs. And the Panthers defense shut down DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, 2 very good running backs.
The Panthers also rushed for almost 300 yards, I think.
Yeah, Chuba Hubbard had a great game. Same with Foreman.
Foreman too, yeah. And Darnold.
And DJ Moore. Darnold looks good. I think Darnold will seriously be in consideration for a good contract at the end of the season. Whether he stays with the Panthers or not.
I mean, he's definitely playing well, but they are bad. They are bad.
I mean, sure, they're bad, but Darnold has been great since he came back from injury. Hasn't thrown a pick yet.
Is that right?
No.
I guess I just can't get Jets Sam Darnold out of my head.
It's true. It's really hard to get that ghost out of your mind.
Getting mono from ghosts, and like that guy is no good.
But I think it's a realistic expectation now at this rate. If Carolina goes into Tampa Bay next week and gets a win, I think you have to take them as seriously to win the NFC South, which is a crazy thing to say, because they play the Saints in the last week of the season.
That's crazy to think about. That's crazy to think about, that the Carolina Panthers, led by Sam Darnold and coached by Steve Wilkes, could possibly make the playoffs.
Steve Wilkes might get a playoff game. And, the Panthers going into the last week of the season playing the Saints in New Orleans, I don't have any faith in Andy Dalton to knock that team out of the playoffs, out of a playoff
Absolutely
push.
not. I don't think anybody does.
And I feel bad for Andy Dalton, but his time is...
No, I feel bad for Taysom Hill, because this was the time where Taysom Hill.
Yeah, can we get a Taysom Hill game, please?
This would be the time that Taysom Hill could really come in and play quarterback. Like, the guy wants to play quarterback. He's been begging to play quarterback since he got in the league, and they just use him as this massive utility guy. And I mean, it's great to watch, but I want the guy to play a game of quarterback. Just let's see what he's got. Why not? It's better than watching Andy Dalton out there. He's terrible.
It would be so fun to get a Taysom Hill game at quarterback. It would be so much fun.
I'm in.
There are some other good games on in the early window. Were the Cowboys early window, or they were definitely 4 o'clock, right?
They were 4 o'clock, but that game was insane. I mean, we saw the Cowboys actually play a good game. But they did do it against Gardner Minshew and not Jalen Hurts. So, I mean, I still have the Eagles over the Cowboys in the playoffs. There's no question. This Eagles team is a wagon. They are so good in every aspect of the game.
I mean, the fact that they almost went out on the road and got a win with Gardner Minshew speaks enough to how good they are.
Exactly. Like, it's surprising, honestly, that they are playing so good, especially if you look around the league this year, because nobody is, besides them, is like crazy good this year. Like, no. I feel like every single team could beat every single team this year.
That was Philly's.
We haven't seen in a while.
Right. That was Philly's game to lose. All second half, I thought that was going to be Philly's game. But the Cowboys D came up huge in the final few seconds of that game. So now the Eagles claim the division and the 1 seed, right?
No, they lost.
I'm sorry, with a win next week. I'm sorry.
With a win, yes.
I'm sorry. I completely skipped over that fact.
One more win.
Next week with a win.
And Philly is in. And Philly has it clinched with one more win.
And now is Jalen Hurts out next week, or do we know what the situation is with that?
Well, I think that's interesting because I think he honestly could have played today, yesterday, and Saturday. Oh my goodness. In my opinion, he probably could have played on Saturday, but they're like, we don't need to win this game. So I think they rested him. I wouldn't be surprised if they rest him for another week.
Yeah, I wouldn't really play him against the Saints.
Even if you miraculously lose to the Saints, you win week 18, he still has another week to prepare because they'll have clinched the bye. So I wouldn't be surprised if he sat next week, but my guess is Jalen Hurts is going to want to play.
Yeah.
So he'll probably play it next week. They'll lock up the number 1 seed, a bye, home field for the entire playoffs. They'll lock it all up. And I think home field for Philly is huge because nobody wants to go to Philly and play the Eagles in front of that crowd.
The Eagles fans are rowdy. By the way, this is such a game that Gardner Minshew can win. Saints on the road?
Oh, yeah. The Saints? Are you kidding me? Like, come on. The Saints are bad. Like we just said. I can't, they play Andy Dalton at quarterback. You can't take them seriously.
And they might be missing a few pieces going into that game.
Injuries ourselves, though. Gotta keep that in mind. I mean, Lane Johnson went down.
Tyree Jackson.
Avonte Maddox. It's tough.
I feel like the
Saints
Eagles
might be without Olave next week. Which at that rate is like, who the hell are you going to throw the ball to? Besides Kamara, who hasn't really done much.
It's Andy Dalton throwing the ball, so.
Right. It's $150 to get into that game next week. Cheapest ticket.
$150?
In the door.
That's why I don't like going to football games, dude. They're too expensive. Give me a $9 MLB game. I'll go sit in the top stands at Yankee Stadium or some shit and just go watch.
It was like $8 to get into the Browns game on Saturday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it's because absolutely nobody wanted to go. It was probably I think it felt like -5 in Cleveland, and they were playing the Saints, and they're eliminated from the playoffs. So
you're gonna end up spending more on a beer than you are for the ticket.
Exactly. We saw, what we did see on Saturday? The Texans finally winning a game, and they were trying to ruin the hopes for the Titans, and they may have done it. The
So what
Jags
was the deal?
at this point are in.
The Jags are in behind Trevor Lawrence, who looks like they found their guy.
Phenomenal.
He's hit his stride.
He looks phenomenal. Trevor Lawrence says he's thrown
So what
one
happened in
pick
Nashville?
in the past 7 games.
Was there a power grid issue? Is that why the game was delayed an hour?
Yeah, because they saw the temperatures so cold and stuff. It doesn't get that cold in Nashville, so I guess they didn't know how to handle it, and they lost power to the stadium. So we saw that game get delayed till 2, which was kind of nice because it fed into the 4 o'clocks a little bit.
Right.
And
No,
because
it was
a lot of
nice.
these games at 1 kind of ended early, so it was nice to have that game still going. Game that actually mattered. The Titans needed a win this week. They fall short. The Jaguars have the head-to-head against Tennessee, so the Jaguars are in. Now, next week, the Jaguars play the Dallas Cowboys, I believe. They need to win that game. And
Is that game in Dallas?
No, they don't play the Cowboys. They just did play the Cowboys. The Titans play the Cowboys next week. Excuse me.
And is that game
They
in
need
Dallas?
to win that. They need to win that game. Because if they don't win that game, the Jaguars are 100% going to win it all. And then week 18, they play each other.
The Titans are just such an interesting team to me because I can't tell if they're good or not. They obviously have Derrick Henry.
You know what I think? I think they're bad. I think they're bad.
Do you think it's
But I
they're
also
bad?
think the Jags are bad.
I think
The Titans have no
there's
they have
pros
no
and
passing
cons with
game.
both team. I think who do you think has the better head coach? Do you
I
think
think the
Mike Vrabel
Titans.
is a very good football coach?
I think Mike Vrabel is a very good football coach.
So what I'm trying to get at here is, do you think the Titans' success is less on talent and more on coaching?
I think
Because if you look around the field,
I think it's on more top heavy talent, but not talent overall.
I agree
The
with
Jags, I think, are more talent overall, but the Titans just have top heavy talent because they have Derrick Henry, who does everything. But Ryan Tannehill is out for the season, so Malik Willis is going to be playing quarterback for the next 2 weeks and for the future if they make the playoffs.
that. Yeah. And
And
either
he
offense to
has
both, either
not
of those
looked
guys.
good.
No, those aren't guys who are putting asses in seats either.
No, they're not.
Those
but at
aren't
least
your
Ryan
Tom
Tannehill
Brady's
has
or your.
At least Ryan
you know,
Tannehill has
Jalen
shown
Hurts.
that he can be at least a little bit competent. Malik Willis looked horrible against a terrible Houston team. He couldn't do anything. Derrick Henry had to do everything, and he still, he had 130 yards and he fumbled. But, what are they doing in Tennessee? They have nothing. They have nothing for the pass attack after they traded A.J. Brown or got rid of A.J. Brown to the Eagles, and Treylon Burks, their great-looking rookie, got hurt. So Malik Willis has no one to throw to, and so obviously Derrick Henry gets every single touch. He gets every touch for that offense, and their defense is nothing crazy. So I don't know where the upside for Tennessee is. There's no upside to their team. On the other hand, Jacksonville has all the upside in the world. They have a great young quarterback in Trevor Lawrence couldn't look better. He finally looks like he's coming into his own, and this is the number 1 pick that they should have made. They have guys at receiver like Zay Jones
Right.
and Christian Kirk playing well. Evan Ingram had another 100-yard game on Thursday. Their defense also playing well. Doug Peterson is a great coach for them. He's molding Trevor Lawrence, and I love it. The Jags,
two teams trending in completely opposite directions right now.
Completely opposite directions. The Titans, they were first in the AFC last year, and look where they are now. The Titans, they're trending down. Mike Vrabel, I hate to say it, but he might be in jeopardy. I don't think so, but he very well could be, because we haven't really seen Tennessee be this bad in a couple years since they really have established them as the Derrick Henry team.
You know what?
And-
I'm labeling the Titans dead.
You are? Officially?
100%. They have to go to Texas. They have to go to, excuse me, Texas. They do have to go to Texas. They have to go to Dallas next week.
They have to go to Dallas next week, and then they play Jacksonville week 18.
And Jacksonville has such an easy schedule moving forward. And I'm saying easy with still the Jaguars, but they play Houston and then they play Tennessee. And they wrap up the season in Jacksonville.
How crazy would it be if Houston beat Tennessee and then Jacksonville back to back?
And that's probably going to be a sellout for Jacksonville. That's going to be pretty much a playoff game.
Yeah. Jacksonville, I mean, I'm excited to see Jacksonville in the playoffs. I think that would be so fun.
They were fun when they were in the playoffs 5-6 years ago.
Most likely, they'll play the Ravens, and I love Jacksonville in that game. They've already beat them this year.
Yeah. I think
that would be insane. If
the Tennessee Titans are dead.
The Tennessee Titans are dead. We have not seen Jacksonville in the playoffs since Blake Bortles.
Yeah, since that playoff game in Foxborough.
Yeah. That was a great game.
That was a great game. Josh Allen?
Yeah, what about him?
Interesting game in Chicago.
I mean,
2 picks. He's been throwing a lot of picks lately.
He does throw a lot of picks. But we've always known that. He just throws a lot of picks. That's what you get when you get Josh Allen. He makes a lot of ballsy decisions that more often than not work out. But when they don't work out, they look really bad.
But boy, he's thrown him in some bad times, though. He's thrown them in a lot. He's thrown a lot of red zone picks.
Yeah, he's
thrown a lot of picks on the 1 yard line, the 5 yard line. He's not throwing them at midfield. They're very untimely situations, but the guy finds ways to pull games out of his ass, and he did that against Chicago.
Yeah, I mean that Chicago team is so weak that it didn't really matter what Josh Allen did. I mean, he could have thrown 5 picks, and they still would have won.
This was a game where Buffalo controlled the pace pretty much throughout, but there was a glimmer of hope a little bit for Chicago.
Well, I think Chicago's hope is Justin Fields now. Now they get to watch Justin Fields every week. Like, they don't go to the games to watch to see if the Bears are going to win anymore. They go to the game to see what Justin Fields is going to do that week.
And if he doesn't scramble and get them into good positioning, Chicago has no shot at winning the game.
No, I mean at this point they're just playing for draft pick. They want that number
Aaron
2
Rodgers,
pick, and
I know we got 100%. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers are not dead. I know we talked about the Titans being dead. The Packers are not dead.
The Packers aren't dead, but it's going to be tough for the Packers because we know that they're how do I say it? Not a good team, really. Like, they're not very good. We all know it. They're kind of frauds. Their defense has been playing horrible when it was supposed to be very good this year. Aaron Rodgers still has no one to throw to. I mean, Christian Watson has looked very good, and I think
Aaron Rodgers looked the best he's looked all year yesterday.
I agree. He definitely looked great yesterday, but he hasn't looked great the whole season because he's frustrated. But I think we see him starting to play better because we're seeing Christian Watson come into his own. Like, he's starting to really hit his stride. I mean, he's been playing very well, and it's starting to look like Rodgers trusts him a little bit, which was the Rodgers' big problem at the beginning of the year, which is why he would only throw to Randall Cobb.
Right.
He didn't trust these rookies, and I think he's starting to trust Christian Watson and Dobbs too, and that's why we're seeing the Packers, start to get rolling a little bit. It was perfect for them that the Lions lost this week, so
absolutely,
Green Bay is in an okay spot. If they win Week 17 and Week 18, we could see them easily slide into that 7th spot.
So Green Bay they're going home for a New Year's matchup with the Minnesota Vikings, and the opening line is Green Bay -3. So they're favorites today.
They got to be. That doesn't make sense.
This is an interesting line from
That
Vegas.
doesn't make sense. Is Minnesota going to rest?
3.5.
Minnesota's got to. They got to be predicting Minnesota to rest people. Then there's no way.
Is there any incentive for Minnesota to win this game, or do they have the 2 seed locked up?
I think they have the 2 seed locked. They have the 2 seed locked up. They clinched the division already.
Theoretically, if Philly loses the next 2 games, though, obviously it's not
I don't
likely.
think they
but,
expect Philly to lose, though.
Right. Well, if Philly, I guess if Philly loses on Sunday, they could both sit at 13-3.
Yeah.
We would have to see what happens from there.
I don't think anybody expects Philly to lose one of their last 2 games.
Oh, no, I don't. But I think you can't exclude that from the realm of possibilities right now if you're sitting in the coaching room of the Vikings.
You can't. I can't believe that's the line. You said Green Bay's minus 3.5.
Yeah.
I have to bet on Green Bay then.
This reminds me of the Detroit Lions game.
Yes, exactly.
A lot.
When the Lions were like minus 3 against the Vikings, it didn't make any sense.
What does Vegas know that we don't?
What do you mean? What do they know? They have a time machine. They don't need to know anything. You can laugh all you want.
No, I know.
It's not a conspiracy theory either. They have a time machine. I'm sure of it. They have to. There's no other way that someone could predict this. I don't care. You can talk about all this math and shit. No, I'm actually going to get mad now. There's no other way that they can figure this out unless they have a time machine. They have to have a time machine. They have to. It doesn't make any sense. How? How would they know?
What bet did you lose this weekend?
No, I didn't lose anything. But it's just everything. Every time I lose a bet, it's like, how do they know? How do you know that? That doesn't make any sense, guy. How do they know that the Green Bay Packers are going to go into Minnesota? Are they going 2 minutes? No, they're going to Green Bay. Right?
They are going to Green Bay, yeah.
Okay, at home, but still, minus 3.5. Minus 3.5. Are you kidding me?
Is this, you know what this is? I know exactly what this is. Minnesota plays in a dome. This is outside at Lambeau Field, baby.
Ooh, this is true. But
this is football weather.
Yeah, I guess.
This is the frozen tundra, baby.
Oh, I hate that I'm going to.
This is everything. Oh, this game's going to be electric next week.
A lot of these games are going to be fun now because they mean so much now. Like the Jets Seattle game next week is important for both teams. Seattle needs to win, and they need Washington to lose, and they could get in. The Jets need to win, and we already talked about how the Jets need to win, and they need the Pats to lose. So they need a lot to happen. So
Giants clinch a playoff spot with a win over the Colts on Sunday. MetLife is going to be packed. That's going to be so sick to see.
I mean, the Colts are so bad.
This should be a game where the Giants pull this through. I have confidence in them.
100%. You know, if I'm going to be honest, though, looking around the league and watching all these games that I've watched, I think that there's only like 3 teams that I see could possibly winning. The Eagles, obviously.
Yep. Niners?
See, I was going to say Niners, but
I was going to say Niners too, but now that I'm
Brock Purdy.
Now that I'm looking at their game next week on New Year's Day against the Raiders in Vegas, I think this is a very winnable game for Vegas.
That's besides the point, though. I'm talking like they're going to make they clinched the playoff spot already.
No, I understand that, but if we're talking about teams that legitimately have a shot to win a championship, I think the Niners have a huge gaping hole at the quarterback position. Because if you're looking at a team that you're saying maybe they'll lose to the Raiders next week, I wouldn't have a problem saying that if the Eagles were going into Vegas next week, I would say I would have complete confidence in that team, even with Gardner Minshew, to win that game.
Yeah.
I don't feel the same with Brock Purdy.
I was very high on the Eagles this year, honestly, when Trey Lance got hurt, because I think they're a better team with Jimmy G. Even if they don't like him there, I think they're just a better team with him there. I think it fits better to how they play. I mean, they want to play with Trey Lance because they want someone who can move their legs a little bit more and not just sit back there and be more of like a slant pocket passer. But I think I was very high when they had Jimmy G back there, and he got hurt, and now it's Brock Purdy time, and I have no confidence in Brock Purdy winning playoff games, especially if they have to go up against the Eagles. Or, I'm sorry, but if it's Tampa Bay against San Francisco, I'm taking Tom Brady over Brock Purdy. I don't care how much better the 49ers are than the Buccaneers. Tom Brady will eat Brock Purdy alive.
Yeah, Tom Brady's making it to the NFC Championship game. We already discussed this last week.
Yeah, he's going to beat the Cowboys 100%.
The Cowboys are frauds as soon as they get into the playoffs. Every year.
Exactly. It's terrible. So, yeah, the only teams I can see winning a Super Bowl this year are Philly, Buffalo, and Kansas City. I think Cincinnati has too many holes. I think the Ravens are terrible, honestly. They shouldn't even be there. The Chargers, if they had ever made a playoff game ever in their life, maybe. The Jags have no shot. I'm sorry. It's not their time yet. The Vikings, they have too many holes on defense. If they come up against an Eagles team, I have full confidence in the Eagles defense stopping their offense.
Right. I think if Lamar Jackson comes back, which he's
the Cowboys
rumored to be coming back. I think if Lamar Jackson comes back, I think they could make noise in the playoffs.
I mean, I guess the thing
they're going to go as far as Lamar's going to take them.
The thing they have going for them is they're going to play Jacksonville week 1, in the first round. So they probably will have the easiest competition of anyone in the playoffs.
Yep.
So they have that going for them, but we've already seen Jacksonville beat them. So I don't see why Jacksonville can't do that again, even with Lamar.
And there's still a battle for the 1 seed in the AFC. Would you be, as obviously not a top tier AFC team, so I'm talking like Cincinnati, Baltimore, Los Angeles, even Jacksonville and Miami, just teams who are kind of obviously not the top tier in that conference. Would you be more afraid of having the route to the Super Bowl go through Buffalo or Kansas City? Because personally, I think I would be more afraid to go through Buffalo as of now.
It's tough. You know, team-wise, I want to say I'd rather go through Buffalo. But having to go to Buffalo and play in mid to late January, that would be terrible. Like imagine, like the Chargers who play in LA having to travel to Buffalo in late January to play in like an AFC Championship game.
I think playing in Buffalo in the playoffs is harder than playing in Kansas City in the playoffs, even though Kansas City.
I think it's close. I think it's close though, but I would agree because Buffalo is you're going to have -10 with 30-mile-an-hour winds and a crazy stadium full of fans. I think going to Buffalo is because it probably will have snow.
Probably.
So I think going to Buffalo,
which Kansas City could have too. But I think I like Buffalo way more.
Going to Buffalo would be harder, but I wouldn't want to play Kansas City, dude. I don't want to play Patrick Mahomes in playoffs.
I wouldn't either, but there's something about Buffalo, man, that just scares the living shit out of me.
Going to Buffalo scares the living shit out of me. Oh, well, I mean, I think that's probably it for NFL. I mean, we saw a lot of movement, a lot of good games this week.
Jets and Giants fans handshakes going into Sunday.
Always. Jets and
Always.
Giants fans should have shaken hands at the beginning of the season when they both started being good.
Should we get into some picks?
You want to get into some picks and roulette, and we'll wrap up?
Sounds good to me. I've got Bruins. I'm rocking the Bruins, dude. I don't know what it is about the Bruins lately. They're obviously a wagon. Probably the cup favorite.
You're going
at this
back
rate,
to
Jake.
NHL?
They're cup favorites, right?
Yeah, that by far.
So I'm
Good
going
time to
with
be a Boston fan.
I'm going with Bruins minus 190 against Ottawa. Bruins have taken 4 out of their last 5. Ottawa's dropped 3 out of their last 5, including a loss in shootouts. So I'm going with the Bruins here. They're obviously the hot team against a up and down Ottawa team. I'm riding the hot wave right now.
I like it. Jake?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with hockey as well. I did get a win, finally, 1-3. The Yotes pulled through.
Attaboy.
So retailed that bet. Congrats. I'm going to go with Buffalo 3-way against Columbus tomorrow night, Tuesday night. Buffalo's going to win in regulation.
Sounds good. I like it. For me, I am the champion so far on the podcast. Wake Forest pulled out the game on Friday. So I am 3-1. Going to keep it rolling this week. The Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl. Coastal Carolina versus East Carolina. ECU -7.
Say that 10 times fast.
No, we're not doing this every time. All right, we're going to try it. Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl. Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl. No, that one's easy. That one's easy, buddy. That one's easy.
Way better.
That one's way easier.
Random number for today is 25.
25. Why do we keep getting the 20s?
I don't know. Should I spin again?
No, you can't spin again. That's cheating.
All right.
Pulling it up now. 25.
Before we get into roulette, can we talk about how god-awful the NBA is?
I don't want to talk about the NBA. The NFL has taken over the NBA on Christmas, okay? Nobody cared about any NBA game that happened yesterday.
I can confidently say I didn't watch a second of NBA basketball yesterday.
I watched the first hour of the Knicks game because it started at 12 and football didn't start till 1.
And I'm pretty sure the Knicks lost that game as well.
They did. They suck.
All right, roulette. We are spinning in 10 seconds.
Spin that shit. Spin that shit.
Second. All right. $1, $2, $3. All right.
Here we go.
25.
Come on. Let's go. 25. Here we go.
Spinning.
25.
I think it might be lagging because it's still spinning.
Strange.
Oh my god! It landed right next to it. 17.
Oh,
right.
17.
It was in it. Oh, I wish I had a recording or something. It was in 25. It bounced out. Oh my god.
Damn it.
I have some possible news here. Sounds like the Mets and Correa and Boris are in agreement. It's the Major League Baseball and the PA who are working through issues currently.
Yikes.
So I'm sure there'll be a lot to talk to on Thursday. So stay tuned, everybody.
There is going to be. We will see you guys on Friday morning. See you guys.
Love you guys. Harriet Tubman was alive at the same time as Thomas Jefferson and Ronald Reagan. Not the same time. Her life spanned between those two people. History.
Betty White was older than sliced bread.